Hello, you're listening and watching 15 Minutes or Less with me, Mabs.
Hastu.
And me.
Amy.
And Sarah.
Hello, and welcome to the letter Z, the final episode of the podcast. So I'm going to start the clock. 15 minutes or less talking about the letter Z. It's the last episode in the alphabet series of our podcast. Very difficult letter to end it on, really. Arguably the most difficult letter of the alphabet. Thought X was going to be hard, but we managed to blag through that one. So, before I start, anyone got anything they want to say?
I've got nothing.
Zebras. I know that it's used more in America than it is in England.
I just want to say, I voted for zoos.
Well, there's going to be some very upset animal rights activists about that.
Yeah.
So the letter Z, or Z for our American listeners, viewers, 26th letter, the final letter of the modern English alphabet, final letter of our series, also the final letter of the Latin alphabet. Now, believe it or not, the letter Z has not always been the last letter of the alphabet.
I know.
Sarah knows this.
Morning.
What?
It used to be an ampersand.
Yes.
It was the last letter of the alphabet.
That's not
Apparently, it was.
It was, and it was removed. And before that,
When?
the letter Z was actually was actually in the Greek alphabet and was the 7th letter. So it's gone from being like 7th in the alphabet to the end.
It's not a letter.
That's interesting because in our alphabet it's quite early sounds.
Interesting. Do you know what number letter? Is it 7?
Let me.
I'm making Paris do counting now. This is unfair. That's not what you signed up for. It's right. If you could just drag out that counting for another 13 minutes or so.
It is kind of. I forgot our alphabet. It's really
no.
sad.
Okay, well, whilst Paris do is...
Yeah, go home quick. To
It's 6.
Okay, so more or less the same. All right, that's fine.
Becoming British by the minute.
God.
Now, as we're on the positioning of the letter in the alphabet, this is one of the things I wanted to ask all of you. True or false, the letter Z was once removed from the alphabet altogether. What do you think?
Sarah's not in, so I'm going to say yes.
Sarah's nodding, so
Oh.
you're going to say, I mean, that's kind of cheating, but sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
So unanimous yes, and you'd be absolutely correct. So I found out, this is one of the few exciting things I found out about the letter Z, was it was once removed from the alphabet.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I know, height of drama.
Scandal.
I'd like to save it all for the end of the series, you know. So it was around 300 BC. You remember that cracking year? Yeah.
Neil was there, wasn't he?
Who?
Neil.
Oh, our boss Neil.
He's been around.
He's been around. Yeah, so
Can we show
probably.
a picture of him, Tammy?
I feel really bad. We've gone through all these like episodes of the series, and Tammy is never really featured.
Why
You're
don't you
just
just come into
you're,
camera
you're the
view?
silent figure over there. You've never had a mic.
Shaking
You've never
my
had a
head.
camera. Don't you swear at me. So yeah, letter Z, removed from the alphabet 300 BC by Roman Emperor Claudius, and he basically said.
how you're nodding. You're like, I know this.
Well, no, Sarah was there. Basically, people were pronouncing the letter the same as the letter R. So they were like, well, why have we got this extra letter? It's useless. Get rid of it. Sack it off. Gone. That's how it went.
Then it came back.
Yeah, and it came back.
It has like a good PR system. They fight for it to come back.
Well, that wasn't the only letter that was removed. They also removed the letter S, and the letter G was then added instead. So, I mean, that's the thing. Language always evolving.
Yeah.
It's very odd. S.
Yeah, there you go.
That'd be a travesty.
Now, do you know probably one of the reasons why we're struggling so much with this being the final episode and the fact that we're on the letter Z, which is the last letter? It's actually which is probably not surprising, the least frequently used letter written in English. So I would like you to guess, out of a percentage, let's say out of 100%, what percentage of words use the letter Z in English?
1%.
2.
0.2.
5%.
Again, nice widespread of answers. The frequency is about 0.07.
Wow.
I was closest.
Yeah.
Very good.
That's how often it appears, which is why content for 15 minutes talking about Z is pretty thin, actually. So,
Well, it's big ideas.
Again,
well, yeah. I mean, the way we've kind of always worked this series is like we've made a list of things we could possibly talk about in an episode, and then we do a little vote. I put it down to some of the more interesting ones, and we do a little vote. And some of the ones we could have talked about today were zoos, Zodiac, zebras,
that would have been good.
zombies,
Yeah.
Zeus.
We kind of did that.
But that's it. We've kind of covered some of these things in the series a bit, and then for some reason I just wrote lots of weird things. Like oddly, there's a lot of sounds associated with the letter Z, like zapping, zipping, zooming, zinging. Lots of zing, But why?
Yeah, bees use it a lot.
Yeah,
They have
yeah.
a lot of,
They own it.
they love
are-
it in their language.
And wasps.
Yes.
Those are just bees.
Can you think of any other instance where the letter Z might be used in a similar way to the way Paristu's just described bees owning it just there?
Sleep.
Yeah.
Yes, sleep.
Your phone?
Phone as well, but sleep was the one I was specifically thinking of. For some reason we like to use the letter Z, don't we, when we're referring to sleep?
Why is
Tired. Really, it's because when people watch this, that's how they feel. They feel really sleepy, so they just use
Is it the sound they make?
Yeah, it's to do with the sound. But it's
But
sort
you
of like,
don't make that sound.
Yeah, and it's again. I'm here
Pointless.
to bring more culture.
I'll say
The sounds is different in different culture, different languages.
again.
You know, like, because obviously people don't go zzz when they're sleeping. It's more like, it's more like,
yeah, I mean, it's meant to represent somehow represent the closed mouth snoring.
like that.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't know what close mouth snoring is. How do you do that?
I want to hear the culture.
Yeah, that was very interesting.
Sorry, Paris.
No. But although, I mean,
I rudely interrupted, but I was
Yeah,
distracted by Amy's story.
when I was learning English, it was interesting because you guys have sound for animal as well. Like the dogs would woof. It's different in our language.
Oh, what is it?
Yeah, well, I mean, yours probably closest to what the sound of dog, but we say walk. Walk, walk.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. In America, they use a different word.
I know it's different in every language. Like people hear different things, but for snoring, we say.
It's more accurate, I suppose.
It's like very
how would
specific.
you spell that?
I mean, we have the ch sound in our language, so. It's a sound.
I mean, I've heard grown men that make that sound after they've been to the gym. You're like, oh.
You feel it, don't you?
It gets you right there. Yeah, nasty. Okay, well that was a little bit more information about the letter Z that I didn't think we were going to get, and we went on a tangent about sounds. I feel like we've been on a real journey together.
How many minutes have we got to go?
10 hours. So, the only other thing that did cross my mind when I was looking up the letter Z is, of course, Generation Z. Gen Z.
Ah,
Yes.
what, yeah. What
Yeah.
do you mean? What
Why
does
did
that
they
mean?
choose?
Does that mean?
Oh, right. Oh,
I don't remember.
You
Well-
are Gen Z, maybe? I think.
Yes, Sarah's probably. It's kind of said to be between like the middle of the 90s, and yes, around 1996, and it ends between, dependent on what you read and what system you use to mark out your generations. It's sort of between like 2010 and 2015, like the kind of where that area ends. Gen Z. What do we know about Gen Z? Because we've got X.
Their color is yellow. That's what I know.
It is my
is
favourite
it?
colour.
Yeah.
I didn't know,
Our color is pink.
I didn't know
Yeah.
generations
Everyone.
had a colour.
What, millennial or?
Millennial.
Millennial pink.
Mm.
And
That makes me
they
like one
have
of the
Gen
last
Z yellow,
millennials
which is
being
a very
1994.
specific yellow.
Very specific yellow. Yeah, I mean, I went to try and find out what sort of facts there could possibly be about Gen Z, about defining them, but a lot of it's all to do with the stuff we kind of somehow end up coming back to talking about in this podcast, probably because it's loosely tied to our job, but it's to do with like digital and social and all that stuff. So it's, you know, more than digital natives, which is what millennials would generally be classed as. Their class. You're a native influencer.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay.
That's
Good.
what I always wanted to be.
Literally the smartphone generation, not a mobile phone generation, the smartphone generation.
Yep.
It's like, it feels like everything but a bit upgraded, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean? It's like millennial but better. So yeah, smarter use of social media. I mean, we talked about that a little bit in our last episode on YouTube. They just don't upload any old cat video. They'd be a little bit more savvy, more political. Are you quite political, Sarah? I mean,
No, not really.
Okay.
I'm sure lots of other people are. Not really me. I'm not the one to ask.
Okay. Would you say you are more diverse as a generation than, say, we are?
I don't know. There's not really. I guess equally as diverse. No, I know that's a bit of a ramble, but we must be because the people that were in your generation then came to my generation. So, right? Does that make sense? We must
Equality
be.
is always growing, isn't it? So
Yeah,
But you
more
say-
like
Your generation to your generation.
like your generation to my generation.
I don't think
In the
you're
space
old
of like
enough to
3
be her
years.
dad.
Well, like the
I was talking about like millennials and then Gen Z or whatever I am.
like the oldest millennial is like 1980, so they could be parents, right?
I'm the youngest millennial.
No, the oldest.
Ever.
the oldest millennial, well, virgin.
And the only other 2 points I got was Gen Z are meant to be less tied to gender norms and are generally more self-reliant. So
I'd say that, but I also went to art uni, so I don't know if that's just where I've been more than the general.
So there you go. That's it. That's all I've got.
Great.
Done.
What do we do now?
Should we just make noises with the letter Z?
Well, I figured this.
We've got plenty of noises from this episode.
Well, I thought there was a very high probability this would be. I mean, there's been a couple in the series where I thought we're not going to be able to do 50 minutes on this, but we've done it. I wouldn't say it's necessarily great content, but we've bloody done it, right? But this one, I'm done. I got nothing left on Z or Z or Z
They
or
will
Z.
always say like James gave up on last episode.
Yeah.
Who are they? Who cares? The people that mainly listen to this are friends,
going to
family, and
comment
some
this.
clients.
I'm going to comment this.
Oh, I see. I'm going to get a
James gave up.
yeah, you're such a quitter.
We're
Well.
all going to share that.
That's great. Well, I mean, if anyone wants to share, you could put some comments. You could put some comments on any of the posts. You won't, but you might, and just say, well, this is what you could have talked about.
Yeah.
And then we can all collectively, not just James, collectively hang our heads in shame. You're not going to do that, are you?
I'm enjoying
Hold on.
this episode. I think it's great.
I could wrap it up. We have a minute left, or if you want, we could all just join hands and sing Kumbaya. I got to say, when we started this, which was about 6 or 7 months ago now, isn't it? I would say.
Is it really?
Yeah, I didn't think this is how it would end.
What were your hopes for the ending, James?
Oh, I don't know. I thought I'd be rich by now.
Yeah, changing the world.
I don't know. It's all right. I feel like we've learnt some things,
Some things, yeah.
and I've forgotten most of them. So
Great.
yeah, and I mean, obviously, everyone else is really putting in some valued contributions. So I feel like this episode is me mainly waffling.
No, we've got a whole mix of stuff in
Yeah,
this episode.
if we think about all the episode as like a cycle, so this episode is the end. We are going to sleep and we're making the zzz sound. That's why this is the period of time that it ends in a very nice note. Zzz.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah, no, thanks, Paris. Thank you, Paris. Thanks, Paris, Didn't get that from any of you. That was good, wasn't it?
Thank God for Paris Day.
Yeah. Oh,
hashtag thank God for that.
that's it. Ending it on a positive note, unlike you cretins. So, that's not really. I sort of love you all in a way. Right, well, that's the final episode. That's been 15 minutes or less. That was the letter Z.
I'm taking these with me as well.
All right, well, just take anything that isn't glued down. Yeah.
I'm
Good.
just packing up, ready.
So thanks very much for listening or watching the podcast wherever you've picked it up. And we will probably be back at some point in the future. But until then, I'm going to play out the classic theme tune and probably just fall asleep. What do you think?
Yeah, let's all
Sounds
go
great.
night-night.
Yeah, let's just go to sleep to this. Thanks. Bye.